Inkotanyi Chronicles, Episode Story. In the heart of Africa, when Rwanda was drowning in shadows, a fire of resilience began to rise. The world saw them as rebels, but to their people, they were heroes. The Inkotanyi, warriors born not out of conquest, but out of necessity, carrying the dream of a free homeland on their shoulders. Among them stood a young fighter named Commander KAGAME Paul. He was not oldest, yet his voice carried the weight of 1,000 dreams. Exile had shaped him, but it had not broken him. His heart burned with a promise that Rwanda would one day be free. The march was long and merciless, through forests thick with mist, across rivers swollen with rain. KAGAME Paul and his comrades moved like shadows. They had little food, little rest, and fewer weapons. Some rifles were rusted, boots torn, and uniforms faded. But their spirit was untouchable. Each step they took was an oath to their families, to their ancestors, and to the Rwanda they longed to see reborn. War, however, is never merciful. Their enemy was stronger, better equipped, and entrenched. Tanks rumbled across the hills, and machine guns tore through the silence of the night. But where firepower failed, discipline and courage prevailed. KAGAME Paul taught his men that strength was not just in weapons, but in unity. One evening, under the dim glow of a campfire hidden deep in the forest, KAGAME Paul stood before his weary fighters. His uniform was soaked from the rain, his boots caked in mud, but his eyes blazed with determination. "We are not here to destroy," he told them, his voice steady and calm. "We are here to rebuild. Every sacrifice we make is not for ourselves, but for those who will come after us. Rwanda will remember us not as soldiers of war, but as guardians of hope." His words breathed life into tired hearts. The Inkotanyi fought on, fueled by more than orders. Ambushes became their weapon of choice. In the tall grass along dirt roads, they lay silently, waiting for enemy convoys to appear. With patience, precision, and discipline, they struck fast and vanished even faster. What they lacked in numbers, they made up for in strategy. To the enemy, they seemed to come from nowhere, shadows that turned the terrain into a battlefield of their choosing. But battles came at a cost. Nights were filled with the sound of gunfire, the cries of the wounded, and the pounding of rain against trenches carved into the earth. Mud swallowed their boots as explosions tore through the darkness. Yet in the chaos, the Inkotanyi held their ground. They fought not just with rifles, but with unyielding willpower. KAGAME Paul himself was always at the front, never asking his men to face a danger he would not face himself. His courage became their shield, his calm became their anchor, and his dream, their dream, became the flame that burned brighter than fear. Days turned into months and battles into victories. The tide slowly shifted. Villages once silenced by fear began to whisper songs of hope again. The hills, once echoes of despair, now carried the sound of footsteps marching forward. At dawn, after a long and brutal night of battle, KAGAME Paul stood with his comrades on a hilltop. Smoke still rose from the valley below, the air heavy with the smell of gunpowder. The men were exhausted, their uniforms torn, their faces smeared with mud and sweat. Yet as the sun broke through the clouds, painting the sky in hues of gold, they lifted their rifles high in unity. It was not a gesture of victory alone. It was a declaration that no matter the cost, no matter the hardship, Rwanda's spirit could not be broken. The Inkotanyi were not just soldiers. They were builders of a nation, defenders of a dream, and living proof that courage can outlast even the darkest of nights. And so, their story is told not only in the battles they won, but in the endurance they showed. The story of Commander KAGAME PAUL and his comrades is not one of destruction, but of rebirth. This is the Inkotanyi Chronicle.